we go with Gregor Gracie taking on Tyson Steele. This one a welterweight contest. Gracie minus 275, the favorite. Steele plus 205, the dog. Gracie is 7-2. Steele is 9-1. Gregor Gracie, of course, picking up a submission victory in his last fight over a 4-2 fighter named Nicholas Mann. That was on August 31st of this year for the ONE FC promotion in the Philippines. He has 6 of 7 wins via submission with 1 decision. Of course, he is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt training with his family member Renzo Gracie in New York. He's originally, though, from Brazil. He's been fighting MMA since 2007. He suffered 2 losses, 1 via knockout and 1 via decision. His opponent, also coming off a victory, Tyson Steele, got a decision win over a 5-2 fighter named Jared Milko on September 15th in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Steele has 7 of 9 wins via submission with 1 knockout and 1 decision. He has been submitted, though, for his 1 loss in his career. It was a triangle choke to a 12-10 fighter named Curtis Demars in 2010. Steele has been fighting since 2008. He's on a 3-fight win streak. He's 26 years old and is a Canadian from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. Steele, though, the majority of his wins via submission. I don't like that when you're going up a Gracie, a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. It's just not going to be a good night for Tyson Steele. There's been a lot of talk about Gregor Gracie going into this one. And, I think it's going to be Jiu-Jitsu versus Jiu-Jitsu, and the Gracie will win.
Yeah, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu will prevail in this one. You're not going to get an argument here. I think both guys have a pretty even record, very decent. If Steele's got a decent stand-up, which we know he's got 1 victory via knockout, he may be able to pull it off. If he can keep this fight on his feet, he's got it, but I don't like his chances. I like Gregor Gracie.
We go to Miguel Torres taking on Marlon Moraes. This one at bantamweight. Torres minus 300, the favorite. Moraes plus 230, the dog. Talk about an experience advantage. Miguel Torres with 45 professional bouts, 40 wins, just 5 losses. Moraes has 13 pro bouts, 8 wins, 4 losses, and 1 draw. Torres coming off a knockout loss, though, to 15-1 Michael McDonald on April the 21st of this year at UFC 145, while Moraes coming off a knockout win over a 12-6 fighter named Jared Card on April 13th in Tennessee. So Torres coming off a knockout loss, Moraes coming off a knockout win. Torres 23 of 40 victories via submission with 9 knockouts and 8 decisions, while Moraes has 3 of 8 wins via knockout, 3 submissions, and 2 decisions. Moraes, though, has been knocked out twice and lost twice via submission for 4 total losses, while Torres has lost 5 times, 2 knockouts, 2 decisions, and 1 submission loss. Torres with notable victories over Yoshiro Maeda, Chase Beebe, and Antonio Banuelos. He had a 6-2 record in the WEC, moved over to the UFC and went 2-2. He's a former WEC bantamweight champion, representing the TriStar Gym here in Montreal. He's originally from Indiana. He's been fighting for 12 years, made his debut in 2000, and is 31 years old. His opponent, Marlon Moraes, is 24 years old, has been fighting since 2007. He's a Brazilian that trains at the Armory out in Jupiter, Florida. Moraes plus 230, Torres minus 300. I'm going to go with the experienced, the former champion, the seasoned veteran, Miguel Angel Torres.
I'm not going to disagree with you. It's not impossible that Moraes pulls out a knockout victory, as it seems that Torres' chin has been suspect in his past couple of bouts. However, this seems like classic Miguel Torres fashion, where this is how this guy made his career, beating guys that were a lot less experienced than him and making him out to look like the greatest bantamweight to ever live at one point in time. However, not anymore, but he wins tomorrow night.
He may not be the Miguel Torres of 2008, 2009 in the WEC, but I think he's still very, very good and one of the best in the world, and he'll show that tomorrow night. Anthony Rumble Johnson takes on DJ Linderman, this one at light heavyweight. Johnson, 13 wins, 4 losses. Linderman, 13 wins, 3 losses. Johnson picked up a TKO win over Jake Roshold on September 21st. That was in Oklahoma for his last bout, while Linderman also picked up a TKO win over a 5-5 fighter named Dale Mitchell. That was in Texas on July the 13th. Johnson, 9 of 13 wins via knockout with 4 decisions, while Linderman has 5 of his 13 wins via decision with 4 knockouts and 4 submissions. Linderman has lost 3 times in his career, all via decision, to Devin Cole, who will main event, to Richard Hale, who just won tonight at Bellator, and to local fighter here, Moise Rimbon, losing to him in March of this year for the Instinct MMA promotion. Linderman, though, did pick up a win over Devin Cole in January of 2009, submitted him. He's got a 1-1 Bellator record. He's from Eureka, California. He's 29 years old and has been fighting since 2008, while Anthony Johnson, 28 years old, he's been fighting since 2006. He picked up a 7-4 UFC record with wins over Dan Hardy, Charlie Brenneman, and Kevin Burns. Although he wasn't able to make it down to 170, he had trouble making 185 even. So now he's going to fight at 205 pounds in the light heavyweight division. He's from Georgia originally, but trains out in Florida with the Black Zillions. Johnson has lost 4 times in his career, 3 via submission and 1 TKO due to an eye injury, but hasn't really been knocked out. I think this will be a very interesting fight. Johnson minus 355, the favorite. I can't argue with the odds makers. I see a victory here for Anthony Rumble Johnson. I think it probably goes the distance. Linderman's never been knocked out. I don't know if Rumble's going to be able to do it, but I think his superior wrestling will be able to keep him in control of the fight, and I think Johnson wins the fight via decision or perhaps on the outside chance he gets a knockout, but I'm going to go with Rumble Johnson to win.
Yeah, DJ Linderman actually fights at heavyweight in other promotions for the Cage Warriors out in Europe and the Middle East. Anthony Johnson even having trouble to make light heavyweight for this bout, which is kind of ridiculous. I think Linderman may have a size advantage, but gives Johnson the speed advantage. I see this going the distance as Johnson has not looked overall impressive in his last few bouts.
So it sounds like you're picking Linderman? What are you doing?
Well, I'm picking Johnson because I think he's got a little bit more experience, but I see it going the distance. But the reason it's going the distance is because he hasn't been impressive.